All right, so we have some more Spider-Man 4 news, and this came out a little bit, a little while ago, but I wanted to talk more, less about the news itself and more about what the implications are, because I think that this is really interesting. So Spider-Man 4 has officially been announced to be directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, and Tom Holland is on board, and everything is good to go. They're going to start filming in summer of 2025, and we have a release date now. Spider-Man 4 is officially going to come out after Avengers Doomsday. We'll talk about that in just a second. And before Avengers Secret Wars. It's going to come out July 24th, 2026. Now, that's news. And if this was just a breaking news podcast, then that would be the end of the segment. But I wanted, as always, to do some deep dives and do some analysis here and talk about what this means for the story of Spider-Man 4. So here's the thing. There are a few avenues that this film could go into, even before we knew the release date. Because I had thought maybe there's a chance. If they filmed early enough in 2025, turns out they're going to film in summer, so there's no chance of this now. I thought there was a chance with an expedited timeline. They could have filmed in January to April, something like that. The film could have been released December 2025. That's not going to happen. Because I thought, how in the world are you going to make a Spider-Man 4 film come out before Avengers Doomsday? So here's the situation, right? Spider-Man 4 could very well take place in the aftermath of Doomsday, because Spider-Man is almost certainly, it would be asinine if Spider-Man, the character, did not appear in Avengers Doomsday. He is basically one of your most guaranteed hits. The character, the movies, the franchise, everything like that. So Spider-Man is going to be in Avengers Doomsday. I can almost guarantee it. In fact, there have been reports that Tom Holland is going to be filming Avengers Doomsday. So Spider-Man, the character, is going to be in Avengers Doomsday. There is a scenario in which Spider-Man 4 takes place in the post-Doomsday world. What that looks like, we can talk about in just a second. The other scenario is that Spider-Man is in Avengers Doomsday, but Spider-Man himself, the Spider-Man 4 story, will take place before Avengers Doomsday. I don't necessarily know what the point of that would be. I mean, prequels are fine. And Ant-Man and the Wasp kind of worked in that sense, and Captain Marvel worked in that sense, because those two characters were not in Avengers Infinity War. So the real curiosity was, where have you been, right? I don't think it works as well if Spider-Man shows up in Avengers Doomsday and everyone remembers him again, and he just kind of winks at the camera and goes, "You'll have to watch my movie to find out why," and then Spider-Man 4 is all about the spell being broken and whatnot. I don't think that is really a good approach. So really, those are the two options, unless there's some weird third wacky thing that happens where, I don't know, something wild is going on. It takes place in the future. I don't even know. But it looks like the two options we have here are Spider-Man 4 is going to take place in the post-Doomsday world, and Spider-Man 4 is going to be a prequel to Avengers Doomsday. I am going to go out on a limb and say that it is now very likely that Spider-Man 4 is going to take place in a post-Doomsday world, because I think that like I mentioned before, I don't think it's very plausible, and it's a very good idea to have, Spider-Man 4 be a prequel to Doomsday when you have Spider-Man in Avengers Doomsday. There could be news that Tom Holland is not going to be in Avengers Doomsday, in which case maybe it's more plausible, but I don't see that as the case. So then the question becomes, how does a post-Doomsday world, not knowing what it is, right, but how is a post-Doomsday world, how does that affect Spider-Man 4? And I think we're making a lot of presumptions here, right? Because maybe in a post-Doomsday world, it's not so different, right? Maybe at the end of Avengers Doomsday, it's just kind of setting the stage for Secret Wars. Instead of, in Avengers Infinity War, when the entire world was changed and you had to address these things in a post-Infinity War movie, I think that, Avengers Doomsday, it's very possible that at the end of the movie, they kind of defeat Doom, but Doom is sort of setting the stage for the Void to become Battleworld. And it's not actually happening, but Spider-Man just kind of returns to New York until the beginning of Secret Wars, right? Where, at the end of Spider-Man 4, the whole world flips over and he's sent to the Void, which is Battleworld. I don't know. Something like that. I think that it is a presumption that the entire universe is gone and it turns into Battleworld at the end of Doomsday, because it's just as likely that that's not the case. So I think that it's totally fine, actually, to have that happen. Now, it would be interesting to see how seriously the events of Avengers Doomsday affect the events of Spider-Man 4, because even in a film like the first Avengers, where everything wraps up nicely and whatnot, the events of the Avengers affect Iron Man 3. So too with Thor the Dark World, where Loki, who is the villain of the Avengers, is, the beginning of Thor the Dark World is sent. He's sent to prison at the beginning of Thor the Dark World. Cap 4, not so much, but Guardians of the Galaxy, not so much. But you know what I mean, right? What ramifications is Doomsday going to have on Spider-Man 4? I'm not entirely sure, but it seems safe to say that it's going to have some effect on Spider-Man 4. I would argue that even if Spider-Man, the second MCU Spider-Man would have taken place after Infinity War, I think you could have done that, honestly. Sure, you would have to address the fact that, if Spider-Man had lived, right? I'm sure you would have had to address the fact that, hey, everyone disappeared. It's really sad. But Spider-Man could have had a street level adventure in that 5-year period between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, for example, right? I think that addressing the fact that, this is taking place in a post-Doomsday world will have to happen. But what that looks like, short of literally nothing existing except the Void and except Battleworld, I think that there are plenty of opportunities to tell a Spider-Man 4 story that aren't so constrained by whatever happens in Doomsday. But again, I just don't think we're going to have a very good idea of what that looks like. And they're going to have a very, very tricky marketing campaign to not spoil what happens at the end of Doomsday, just like how with the marketing campaign of Spider-Man Far From Home, they had a very tricky job of not spoiling what happened at the end of Avengers Endgame. So we'll see. We'll see how they handle it. And I think that that's an entirely different conversation that we can have in the future. Obviously, all these things are such a long way away. We don't even know what the story of Doomsday is going to be. We don't even know who's going to be in Avengers Doomsday. So this is a conversation we can have much, much later. But still, it's something that Sony will have to navigate as they market Spider-Man 4 in light of the fact that it comes out 2 months after Avengers Doomsday. So we'll have to see about that. But guys, let me know. In light of this news, Spider-Man 4 is releasing 2 months after Avengers Doomsday on July 24th, 2026, and Avengers Doomsday releases in May of 2026. What do you think that means for the story of Spider-Man 4? Do you think it will affect it significantly? Not at all. Do you think it'll be a prequel to Doomsday? Do you think it'll take place after Doomsday? Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below.